this is the end of a mega cycle, Michael Snyder reports. Have we finally reached the end of the road? When it comes to the economy, most of us focus on short-term cycles. In recent years, there have been times when the economy has been growing, and there have been times when the economy has been shrinking, but all of those short-term fluctuations have happened in the context of a long-term trend of debt-fueled growth. We have been relentlessly stealing from the future in order to make the present more pleasant, and most of us pretend that the piper will never have to be paid. But of course, the truth is that a day of reckoning is fast approaching, and that day of reckoning is going to be immensely painful. Earlier today, I came across a tweet by End Wokeness that really does a great job of pointing out the harsh reality of what we're facing. U.S. national debt 1960 was $286 billion. U.S. national debt 2023, $31.4 trillion. Are our roads better? Are our streets safer? How about health care? Is it easier to raise a family? Did we improve our schools? The answer to all those, of course, most people would say is no. If not, then why did they do, what did they do with all that $31.4 trillion, $124 billion? I can actually answer the last question. They bought time. By kicking the can down the road over and over again, they have been able to delay the severe economic consequences that myself and so many others have been warning about all these years. About 2/3 of our national debt has been accumulated since Barack Obama first entered the White House. Over the past 15 years, our politicians in Washington have been on an absolutely insane debt binge. Adding more than $20 trillion to the national debt has allowed them to extend the party for a lot longer than many of us originally anticipated, but now the jig is up. Our currency is rapidly losing value. Inflation is widely out of control. The Federal Reserve has been forced to dramatically hike interest rates, and economic conditions are steadily deteriorating all around us. Thankfully, there are still some politicians in Washington that want to get federal borrowing under control, and they're going to try to block the debt ceiling agreement from getting through Congress. And there are some that are even suggesting that Kevin McCarthy should be removed from his position. On a House Freedom Caucus call Monday night, Representative Ken Buck, Republican Colorado, floated using the motion to vacate, a rule that would allow any member of Congress to force a vote to remove the Speaker. Two sources familiar with the call told NBC News. Buck, speaking towards the end of the call, referred to it as the elephant in the room, one source said. After House Freedom Caucus Chairman Scott Perry, Republican from Pennsylvania, suggested it might be too early for such a drastic threat, Representative Paul Gosar, Republican Arizona, proposed using the threat to force McCarthy to allow members to amend the bill on the House floor under an open rule, quote-unquote, that could stand the bill's passage. Perry responded that they would discuss the issue more when members return to Washington after the long weekend. Ultimately, I don't think they will be successful. I think that there will be enough votes for the Democrats to pass the debt ceiling agreement, and I believe that Kevin McCarthy will remain the Speaker of the House. But if I'm wrong, things will get quite interesting very rapidly. Of course, it is not just the federal government that is drowning in debt. State and local governments have taken on mountains of debt. Corporate debt has surged to levels that we have never seen before, and U.S. consumers are currently more than $17 trillion in debt. High interest debt is particularly destructive, and it's being reported that Americans now owe more than $1 trillion in their credit cards. America's credit card balance has passed $1 trillion, or it's about to, depending on whom you ask. The average interest rate on a new card is 24%, the highest figure since the Reaganomics era. This really is a form of predatory lending, and most of the large financial institutions are doing it now. Don't fall into their trap, because once you get into a situation where you cannot pay off the balance every month, you can end up paying back far, far more than you originally borrowed. A typical American household now carries $10,000 in credit card debt by one estimate and another record, and if that does not sound like a lot of debt, Try paying it off at $250 per month with 24% interest. You'll be making payments until 2030, and you'll spend a total of $20,318, twice what you owed. And that assumes you never use the credit card again. What we are facing is an entire society that is completely and utterly saturated with debt. From the very top to the very bottom, we've pushed things just about as far as they can go, and now the wheels are starting to come off. In order for the party to continue, our debt levels have to continue to expand, and the uniparty in Washington understands this very well, but this madness cannot go on forever. We're like an addict that needs larger doses over time in order to achieve the same buzz. That can work for a while, but eventually the addict overdoses, ends up as a victim to his addiction. Sadly, the end of our story is rapidly approaching as well. The debt mega cycle that we are currently experiencing has reached a terminal phase, and there is going to be immense pain as the system implodes all around us. I really do hope that the abominable debt ceiling agreement that they're trying to push through Congress does get defeated, but no matter what happens in Washington, this debt mega cycle is coming to an end, and that has very serious implications for each one of us. This is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, the Beginning of the End, Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you won't miss any of my articles. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream and the Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.